They say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And that, to me, sums up Warzone's Black Ops 7 integration. After last year's underwhelming debut of Area 99, a resurgence map, to kick off that year of Warzone content for Black Ops 6, Call of Duty has followed the same route with Black Ops 7, this time introducing Haven's Hollow, another new resurgence map. However, the mid-news doesn't stop there. This time, Haven's Hollow is actually a combination of two round-based zombies maps from last year's game, Liberty Falls and Shattered Vale. Set in the same biome as Liberty Falls, Haven's Hollow takes place before the outbreak of zombies, meaning we get a much brighter and more vibrant setting for Warzone, which is a good change. But many of you who've played zombies will be familiar with the main town area layout. It features the start location of the Liberty Falls map, the gas station and the motel. And then extending up the hill, we get the church location as well. Beyond that layout, that's where the Shattered Vale assets come in, helping to expand the play space with the mansion in the far north of the map, and there's even a research centre over in the top right-hand corner over a small river. Now, all of these POIs are interspersed with other buildings and elements that sort of stitch things together, creating a map that's close in size to Fortune's Keep, although the player count doesn't go up as high as that map. I think it tops out at 45 in trios. Now, in terms of Resurgence gameplay, the map actually does a pretty decent job of keeping the action flowing across various different engagement distances, and the density of buildings in the main town area over by the river really ups the tension on close quarters gunfights. And with virtually every roof on the map accessible and most buildings maxing out at 3 or 4 stories in height, there's some great long-range sniping opportunities as well. The map itself is okay. I had some good gameplay moments on it, but I just couldn't shake the point from my brain that I was literally playing on a map made of recycled assets from a game that was released the previous year. It kind of felt cheap to me. It almost felt like the bare minimum was being done to check a box that says, new map for Warzone. We've done that now. No matter the unique additions, such as the riverboat down by the shore, and the play space actually extending into the water, with it only being ankle deep as well, so there's no swimming involved, which is a good thing in my opinion, it's still very much a map that's made with assets that already exist, assets that we've already played on last year. It's all been retrofitted to fill a gap in the lineup for Warzone, moving into a new premium Call of Duty release. The whole map kind of just felt underwhelming to me. It didn't really have a wow factor, despite the fact that it played pretty decently for a Resurgence map. And then we've got the big map. Oh boy. We're sticking with Verdansk for the launch of Warzone for Black Ops 7, which I think is probably the option that most people would have wanted the least. And to try and somehow justify the stance of sticking with a map that I think has become beyond stale since its reintroduction, we're getting 2 POIs added to the map, Signal Station and Factory. Signal Station is being placed right on top of the frozen lake to the south of Millibase, changing the location completely with a large weather station set atop a hill, a helipad on the frozen lake, so that does remain, and a few outbuildings in the form of warehouses and offices. Factory is literally the same POI from Verdansk 84, added back onto the edge of the airport next to the aircraft hangars. Another completely recycled idea from a previous version of Warzone. Now, again, a little bit like Haven's Hollow, the new POIs on Verdansk are okay. They play fine. The signal station, being a brand new addition, does help somewhat. There's no inbuilt muscle memory at all, and it does change up the gameplay in that location massively from what was there before. But as for Factory, again, it plays fine, but it's not new. It's an old POI that's been slapped back onto the Verdansk map again. When I was playing, I kept thinking to myself, why weren't these POIs added onto Verdansk during the previous 6 months? These would have been great additions to Verdansk shortly after its relaunch. That would have kept players on their toes, and it definitely would have capitalized better on the excitement and enjoyment that players had back in March. But they've left those changes until now, long after that hype has died down, at a moment where players weren't calling for additions and changes to Verdansk, but instead they were calling for a brand new map altogether. Once again, this update to Verdansk feels more like a check off of the list for the launch, as opposed to something that is actually supposed to excite and invigorate players to play Warzone again? As someone who hasn't really put that much time into Warzone over the last few months, I can't say that I'm itching to get back to playing Verdansk based on these additions. You need to be doing a lot more than that to really get my attention again. And then, this is where things get really weird. Something did actually get my attention. During the main COD Next broadcast, Call of Duty announced that Avalon, a large-scale map that had been speculated to be coming to Warzone all the way back at the launch of Black Ops 6 last year as the new big map for Battle Royale, is now coming as part of Warzone for Black Ops 7, but not until the spring of 2026. Here's the clip from the broadcast.
This is indeed a shot from the upcoming Black Ops 7 co-op campaign, right?
Yeah.
So that's the truth. This is campaign gameplay.
Yeah.
This is Avalon.
Yeah.
But what if I told you that two things can be true at once? So I am happy to officially confirm that we are bringing a bold new experience to Warzone in the spring, inspired by the original Blackout and set on Avalon.
Shut the front door, Blackout, baby! We're back!
And with the arrival of our new experience on Avalon, we'll be running both the classic Battle Royale experience on Verdansk and this new mode on Avalon simultaneously. So we're giving Warzone players more options on how they want to play.
So from what the hosts were saying, we're getting Avalon, a new big map, but it's going to be run alongside Warzone and Verdansk at the same time, but it's going to be Blackout, or at least inspired by Blackout. How's that going to work? Because Warzone's the product and Blackout's a separate product. How are you going to have both of them together working alongside each other? It doesn't really make much sense. And right now, that's all we know. We've sort of been left hanging here, and not in a good way, like a cliffhanger in a good film or a good TV show where you absolutely want to know more, in like a confusing way where you've got no idea really what's happening, really what to expect, or whether you should actually be excited or not. And a side note here, creators like myself, literally all 250 creators in that room, we knew nothing about this Avalon Blackout announcement. We were all in the dark about it, and most of us had to be let know when this news dropped by our own chats. And ironically, I'd said a couple of times during the Haven's Hollow gameplay section of my own stream that it would have been way more exciting to have Avalon as a map to play at COD Next, not a recycled Resurgence map. It's all a bit of a mess, to be honest, and it does give me the feeling that these plans and announcements are kind of being thrown together at the last minute. It doesn't really inspire that much confidence. If you remove the current context of Warzone, which in my opinion is a fatigued product that is in serious need of revival, an announcement of a Blackout-inspired experience on a new map called Avalon, that should be absolutely massive news for the game. But somehow, I'm just left feeling pretty flat overall, and I think it comes from the fact that nobody really had any idea they were going to announce this, and when they did, they didn't announce it to all the creators who have been flown out to this massive event purely to showcase the new product. Surely it makes sense to tell those creators that they're going to do this so that they can let their audience know, so they might be interested in it, but that didn't happen. It's just really weird, to be honest. I don't know about you guys, because of course it is a bit different with you watching gameplay versus me literally having hands-on with the product, but the beta is coming out in like a day, so hopefully you'll have a chance to play the game before you put down any money to decide whether you like it or not. But for me, Black Ops 7 Warzone doesn't feel like a product that's really grabbing me at the moment. There's nothing here that's been announced today that is really getting me pulled in that makes me want to play it when it launches. We are, of course, getting all the Black Ops 7 weapons, lethals and tacticals and field upgrades and perks brought across into Warzone. We're getting new quality of life updates as well, changes to weapon balancing. We're getting that Resurgence map that, despite it being made of recycled assets, was okay gameplay-wise, and we're getting minor updates to Verdansk. Is there really anything on that list that excites you enough to want to play Warzone? So I'll pose the question to you. Is that exciting enough for you? Are you likely to play Warzone based on everything that was announced today? I'm going to answer that question. Right now, probably not. I'll probably jump on with my friends day one and try and see whether it's a good experience with them. But having played it today solo, there was nothing really jumping out at me when I was playing it that's like, yeah, damn, can't wait to get home and fire up this game and play it again. I kind of felt like I actually experienced everything in just a couple of hours, which for a major Warzone update is a pretty major concern. The most eye-opening announcement is that reveal that Avalon will be coming as this Blackout-inspired experience in the spring of 2026, which kind of says it all, really. It goes back to what I said at the beginning. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. This year, when you zoom out, Call of Duty has placed down the same blueprint that they placed down last year. A new resurgence map at launch, a few minor tweaks to big map, and then a big announcement, but it's only coming 6 months down the line, so you're going to have to wait a long time for it. If they were expecting a different result from people who've experienced that, then, well, I don't really know what to say. I hope you found this video helpful, though, and thank you for watching my stream earlier today. Leave your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments section. I'll catch you in the next one.